Well, I wouldn't, because that's not our major focus today. I wouldn't want to dwell on it, but I'm very sure that you've seen the outrage of so many Nigerians about the absence of, there is a candidate who came but did not go on stage. But your principal did show up at all. But we'll see what happens in the coming days. Let's speak to the issues raised by the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He did allege that there is impunity in this government and that there are a lot of things that are being done in this government and is done as with attitude of impunity. What do you have to say to that?
Well, let me start by saying that President Muhammadu Buhari has abiding respect for former President Olusegun Obasanjo. You know, they come from a constituency in which seniority is forever. President Obasanjo was a superior to President Buhari in the military. Not only that, when President Obasanjo was military head of state, President Buhari served under him for 3¼ years as oil minister. So, former President Obasanjo is a senior to President Buhari any day, and President Buhari gives him due courtesies whenever they meet. So, President Buhari will never be rude, nor exchange words with former President Obasanjo. He has said it publicly. When President Obasanjo wrote his first letter, I think that was also in January last year, and when I met him and I said this was what former President Obasanjo has said, he told me, he said, don't respond because you are too young compared to him. Don't respond to him. That shows you that he respects the former president. That respect is abiding, it's a respect that is enduring. Now, talking of the statement today, I can only say that what the former president has said is the opinion of a man. There are about 196 million Nigerians. If one man says anything, it's at best his opinion. It does not mean that that is the gospel. It does not mean it's like the law of Medes and Persia that can never change. What the former president has said is his opinion, and this is a democracy. He has a right to it.
There will be a lot of issues that will be raised when it comes to issues of respect to the rule of law and human rights. And that we go in the case of, quickly, a lot of people can cite the issues of El Zazaki and the issues of Sambo Dazuki, a former military aide to the former president. And these are issues of those who have gotten bail but have never been allowed to go home. And perhaps it may be one of those references made by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. What is the defense of this government to those kind of incidents when they're talking about impunity?
I have read his statements, every line by line, word for word. I've read it. He didn't mention any of those. Those can only be your inference from what he said. But he didn't mention those people that you mentioned. Even if he mentioned them, the Attorney General to the government of the Federation has spoken on that many times. And he's the chief law officer of the country. What he has said suffices.
And so beyond your response, Mr. Additioner, it has become somewhat of a template. If you don't want to respond directly, you say it's the opinion of the person. But speak to us about the stance of this government. When the former president says that the present government is acts with impunity, that is a very, very strong allegation. I beg you.
Yes, but you also forget that we were in this country when that same government, headed by former President Obasanjo, was in power. There were many things that constituted impunity that happened in that government. So, like they said, the onlooker sees more of the game than the player. It's so easy for a former president to sit back, recline now, and criticize the government. But worse things could have happened under his own government. And like I've said, and like you have observed, it will just be an opinion of the former president. It doesn't constitute the gospel.
would you say, for example, if you are making that inference, that there were bad things that were done under some other government, and that's the defense for an allegations of impunity in your government?
I'm glad you used the word allegation, because if it's allegation, it's not proven. It's just been alleged. And if it's alleged and it's not proven, it's then the right of the person who has alleged, until his allegations are proven and conclusively determined as truth, they remain mere allegations.
So speak to the fact that he did say that security is deteriorating in this country. Issues of kidnapping and insecurity. He did mention that. What's the president's stance on that?
There are security challenges in the country, but I tell you that the security challenges are being tackled. But there have always been security challenges in this country, even during the time of the former President Obasanjo. Under him was when we had Udi massacre. Under him was when we had Zakibia massacre. Under him, there were lots of clashes by OPC and other ethnic groups. There were Sharia riots under him. There were thousands of lives lost, even under his administration. So that nobody can just come and sit in judgment over another government when worse things happen.
We will conclude this part of the conversation, but I'm wondering if that is your kind, because you've done that inference twice now on the program, making reference to bad things that have happened in the past to defend what is happening now. But my final question to you will be the fear of the former president on the impartiality of INEC, and if the present government will allow INEC to do its job. That's a very big one, 20-something days to the election.
Yes, INEC can always defend itself, and I'm sure they would. But then imagine that kind of allegation coming from somebody who told us in 2007 that the election would be do or die. If somebody had said an election would be do or die, and it indeed was do or die, the beneficiary of that election came out to say the election that brought me to power was mad in all respects. Now, for that person to allege that elections were not going to be free and fair, were elections free and fair when he conducted his own? That's the questions Nigerians must ask. Nigerians have not forgotten.
Mr. Adesina, Nigerians are watching also, and Nigerians have not forgotten, like you mentioned. But many thanks for coming on tonight. The special advisor on media and publicity to President Muhammadu Buhari, Mr. Femi Adesina, speaking to us there from our media studio. We take our first break on the program tonight. But when we come back, the CJN trial and some of the legal and political angles to it will get a senior advocate of Nigeria, a man who knows especially one of the cases that has been drawn as referenced in this legal debate. Will be talking to us on the program. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.